nothing goes with a mullet like a mustache. What's going on, everyone? Today we've got the brand new Vanquish VRD Mullet kit here. Now, you may not know what a mullet is other than the stylish 80s haircut made popular by Billy Ray Cyrus. But besides that, in the RC world, it is often referred to as a setup that has a straight axle in the front and a portal axle in the rear. And that is exactly what we have here on the new VRD Mullet. Now, beyond just those two simple little points, there are a few other things about this kit that are different from previous VRD kits that have been offered. And today we're going to go over all of those, and we're going to get this thing out on the rocks, tell you a little bit about one of the special offers that exist along with this, and tell you a little bit about what I did to this vehicle to make it my own, including this amazing paint job, thank you, and the little custom bed that I made for the rear. All of that we're going to cover today. So let's get into the details about what the new VRD Mullet kit gets you and what we've got done to it so far. First thing we're going to cover today is the box, which is different. I don't cover boxes very often, but we have a very clear theme here of business in the front, party in the rear, shown by briefcases and solo cups, which you can download those STLs in case you want to make your own jack stands that are themed to go along with this vehicle. Now, you may also see on the cover of this vehicle comes as a slider. No wheels, tires are included, as well as no electronics, but you do get the new stance half cab body with it. So that is new, and there are some differences between this stance body and the previous one beyond just the fact that it has a bed, or doesn't have a bed, but we'll get into some of those finer details as we go. The rest of the box is going to explain things like, again, the definition of a mullet in case you weren't aware. Straight front axle, portal rear, the specs, some of the chassis photos, and just some of the regular, things that you may need to know if you're not familiar with the product already. Now, as you can see here, this is a complete truck, and as it comes, you need to build it as well as paint the body yourself. Don't have to expect that your paint job will come out as good as mine does. First, 4 colors. I just like to say that. I used 4 colors to paint a body. More if you count the backers. Pretty proud of myself. I've obviously already chosen wheels and tires, which are some 1.9 Vanquish Riots with some Yokohama Geolanders in the red compound. The wheels here are the limited edition light blue from a year or so ago. So those help to fit. This truck's all about some funky colors. Now, the stance half cab body, it's got 2 body pins here in the front, and then the rear cross member just behind the cab is where you'll find a 3rd out of the box. That's how this thing is set up. It's the same cross member and setup as was previously used on the VRDs. That system was made to be modular to work with half cab bodies like this in the past. And once you remove the body pins, you'll be able to pull the body off. The shape of the grille and the cowl are different on this body compared to the previous stance, but most of the other dimensions are very similar. So depending on accessories or things like that you're looking at, that's the only areas that you need to look at as far as differences go. Window masks, window decals, and body decals are included on there as well, so that you can make it a little bit easier to style it up with a single color if you like. Also, the rear window has the comp stance man on it. And as he comes, he does not have a mullet. But on the body decal sheet, you'll notice these 2 little shrimp looking things. And those are a mullet that you can apply to your comp stance man. Underneath of the body, you will find the VRD transmission, and this is the same spec that you would have found in the VRD Carbon, which is the highest spec VRD you can get, with the machined lightweight motor plate, machined lightweight gears inside as well, giving you a 21% overdrive in the transmission itself. Additional overdrive is given by the difference in gearing between the front axle and the rear axle, as is pretty typical. The front and rear axles both have machined ring and pinion gears. Front axle has an underdrive gear set and the rear has an overdrive. Now that may sound backwards, and it is in a traditional way, but because of the gear reduction of the portal to try and keep total overdrive in a fairly reasonable area of a total of 34%, that is the combination that's used. The rear axle also uses an overdrive portal gear set, which is a 1.4-to-1. So overall, you're gonna have a 34% overdrive in here. So that's a great amount of overdrive for a super competitive styled truck. If you wanted considerably more overdrive, you could easily just take those ring and pinion gears and switch them front to rear. But then you'd be up in like the 50s as far as percentage overdrive goes, which some people may like, but out of the box, I think this 34% is a great number. The chassis on the VRD Mullet is also different than previous VRDs across the board. It is an aluminum frame rail, but it's been adjusted to work specifically with the difference in front and rear axles. So since it's got a straight axle in the front, portal in the rear, the front shock towers have been adjusted for height to try and make sure that this thing sits in a proper way. Also, the length of the chassis has been adjusted as well, giving you a little bit better rear departure angle. Also nice, just small differences as far as those things go. A carbon fiber version of the chassis will also be available fairly soon. The shocks come with the hard anodized shock bodies and the updated shock parts, including the new dual O-ring lower seal and an adjusted upper cap to it, giving you a little bit more thread on the bleeder screw area. Now, if you're wondering why a mullet setup, I actually did a video on that years ago, like maybe 2019 or 2020, because I've been running a mullet type setup for a really long time in a few rigs, something I've always really enjoyed. And the reason is that the front axle is the axle that you can really place where you want it most of the time. You can steer that thing exactly where it needs to be. And with that, you can take advantage of the lower center of gravity that a straight axle gives you. It's just the most maneuverable end of your vehicle, something that you're all well aware of. Then as you're progressing forward, the rear axle just has to follow. And that's where having that rear extra clearance can be a benefit. And once you've driven a mullet type setup, it's something that you can feel quickly. You get a front axle and then you expect to feel something or some resistance in the rear of the vehicle. And it just keeps going. It's a totally different driving experience, one that you would think such a simple change doesn't make that huge of a difference, but it does. Now, as far as the axles go, relatively unchanged except for the rear axle. Now, since there's an extra set of gears on the rear axle, the rotation of the drive shaft spins the opposite way. So to counteract that, the third member is installed upside down. And previously, the axle didn't have clearance for that. So the axles have been modified to make sure that that fits in there properly. That's going to be the only difference between this axle and one that you may already have. Although in the future, axles like this will continue to receive just that as a running change. So you'll see that same housing in basically all future F10 portals. While we're looking at the underside here, you'll notice that it's got the larger stainless steel links at the bottom, and the rears are a high clearance. So it's got that bent design right there by the rear tire. Now, once I had my kit built, I had to make my decisions on how I was going to finish it out. So for electronics, I used a Holmes Revolver V3 in an 1800 kV version. I've got a Crawlmaster V3 from Holmes as well for my ESC. Up front, I've got a Reefs Raw 500 in a pink color. I believe that this was a special edition from some time back that I was just waiting on the right opportunity to use, and this truck felt like the time. For my radio, I've got the Flysky G11P in there with an FS R4B receiver. Battery sitting here on the side. I made a simple little 3D printed battery box for it just because, and this is a 2200 milliamp Genzace basher pack, but I can comfortably fit the Genzace 1100s or 850s that I commonly run in there as well. Super simple. Obviously, the bed was something that I did as well, and that was something that I just designed up and 3D printed. Now, all of the parts that I did that were, the 3D printed stuff here and things like that, I'll put that up on my website in case you're interested in downloading it as well. And I get that I put a bed behind the new body that doesn't have a bed just to do it, but it's still fun to do projects like this. My favorite part of kits is just kind of deciding to take them a little bit further and tinker on your own. So I enjoyed this. And as part of it, I wanted to tie it into the theme of the paint job that I put on the new Stance half cab. Now, as you can see on the paint job, it says Emmett's Crew and T1D on the top. Emmett is my 7-year-old nephew, and he's got type 1 diabetes. Now, every year, Nicole and I help participate in the Breakthrough T1D, formerly JDRF, but it is the fundraiser for the research to try and help cure type 1 diabetes. And this year I'm using this opportunity to see if any of you would like to participate in that fundraiser as well. If you are, you can donate to Emmett's Crew, the name of their team for the walk, at the link in the description below. A small plug in the name of charity. Emmett's a champ and he loves the RCs himself as well. And as part of the theme, in the bed area here, there is 6 embedded magnets on the bottom side that will retain a lid that says low snack. Because you never know when that blood sugar may crash and you might need an emergency stash spot for some snacks. The underside of the lid also has 6 magnets, and when you drop it on there, it'll hold it in place quite well. Now in the file set for this, there's a lid back there that's just kind of stylized and plain in case maybe you don't need a low snack or you don't want anybody to know where you hide your snacks. As I mentioned, special offer, mullet themed and all. Having fun with the idea of the business and party and the rad times that the mullet was popular in. Initial customers who buy the kit through the Vanquish website will get the VRD Mullet branded sunglasses. A fun bonus and while supplies last. Also, this has a special introductory price of $420.69. Nice. But after that, the price will be $419.99. And this kit is scheduled to be shipping early October. Before we take this truck out on the rocks, I do want to take the opportunity to thank the channel members who help support the channel a little bit extra. If you're interested in that anyway, there's a link down in the description below. You get some extra videos, behind the scenes videos. You get to see videos early as well. And again, help support the channel a little bit extra. If you're interested in that, there'll be a link down in the description below, as well as links to the new VRD Mullet, some of those 3D printed stuff, as well as like the electronics and things like that that I used on this build. But as I mentioned, now it's time to get this thing out on the rocks. Looking forward to spending some time out there with it. If you enjoyed the video so far, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. But let's go get out on the granite.